Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, man. I got a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen. But before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys drop a like. If you're new to the channel, first time here, never ever seen any of my lineup advice videos, the only thing you need to do to be a part of the community and get this information on a consistent basis is to become a subscriber. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you put on the bell icon so this way you don't miss out on any of my NBA lineup advice videos when I upload. With that being said, today is Friday, January the 25th. 2019, and we have a 10-game slate in the association, and let's just get right into it, man. I want to try to be as quick as I can with my videos starting from this day on forward, because I see that they're kind of lengthy and we're not getting the viewers are coming, but we're not, the viewers are not sticking around that long because the videos are pretty long, and I definitely can understand that. But I like to try to give you guys all kind of options, and at the same time give you a little bit more information that maybe some of the other individuals out there do. I think we all do a great job. Everybody is out there trying to help other people. So, to each his own, let's put it that way. I'm one of those that live and let live, so to speak. But anyway, at the top, we got Kemba Walker, Mike Conley. They're the top dogs there. Obviously, Chris Paul has already been ruled out. He's not going to play today. I do like Mike Conley here at the top. He has already had some pretty good games against Sacramento. I do like also Mr. Aaron Fox versus Mr. Connolly. But we're going to speak about Mr. Connolly at the moment at 8,400. If this thing could open up here, thank you very much. Game log, he's averaging 20 points, 3 rebounds, pretty much 6 assists, 36 fantasy points per game at 8,400. You need about 42 to me value. On DK, 7,700, so you need about 37. And we're going to go right over to the cruncher, and as you can see at the top, Mr. Connolly, a little choppy here, as of course he went through a little stretch. Now, granted, one of my reasons that I am choosing Mr. Connolly is I truly believe, with the rumors going around that maybe they're going to be shopping him for trade, as well as Marc Gasol is going to be he's going to be in position that he wants to play very, very well at this point if they are really thinking about trading these guys before the trade deadline or by the trade deadline. So Connolly's going to ball out. He's going to play, and he has done well already against his team. So that's one of the other reasons why I like this matchup here today. But 39, 35, and 47 in the last 2 games. He's still getting massive amount of minutes, 36 and 37 in the last 2 games respectively. The usage rate is still high at about 26, 27% a game, and he's still getting 15, 16 shots a game, taking about 5 or 6 threes a game, and he straight through everything still looks pretty good. He gets some rebounds, he can get you the assists, and he's not a bad defender. As you can see here, 3 straight games, he's had 6 steals in 3 games. So Connolly, not too bad at all. His home and away splits at home this year, 42%. Field goal percentage, 31% from 3, 19 points per game, and averaging 37 fantasy points per game. He has played against Sacramento, like I mentioned, 3 games already. This is going to be the 4th matchup this year. And he shot 45% from the floor, 46% from 3, 23 points per game on average versus these guys, and 40 fantasy points. So he is definitely good to go at this price. He's not that far off from what he's been averaging against them. Sacramento's coming in here, as you can see, 28th in defending point guards, and they've been allowing 33.8 fantasy points per game and a little over 1.06 fantasy points per minute to opposing point guards. They did recently give up 36 to Lowry, 54 to Mr. Russell of the Brooklyn Nets, and 36 to Kemba Walker. So Mike Conley, with the success he has already had against Mr. Fox, we know that they play a paced-up game. Memphis is right now, they're just like in shambles. This guy's basically going to be playing for an opportunity to get traded and hopefully be put on a pretty good team. So I do like Mike Conley here. So he's in play. Other than Mike Conley, if you're not on Mike Conley, I think you should go against I think you should definitely consider Mr. Fox in the same matchup against him. 7,600 for him here. 36 is what pretty much you need for Mr. Fox. On DK, he is 7,300. You need 35 to me value. He's averaging 37, so he's averaging the same, pretty much more or less, as Mr. Connolly. His home and away splits are pretty good. He's shooting better on the road, and that's exactly where he's going to be at. 49% field goal percentage, 38% from 3, 18 points per game, 37 fantasy points per game. Like I said, they have played each other already 3 times. In the 3 games against Memphis, he shot 43%, 30% from 3, 19 points per game, and 44 fantasy points per game. So these guys both should be able to do well against one another. Memphis is coming in here 16th in defending point guards, allowing 37.2 fantasy points per game and 1.16 fantasy points per minute. This young man, obviously, we know he is capable of putting 1.2 fantasy points per minute. They've given up 46 to Kemba Walker, 35 to Lowry, and 63 to Kyrie Irving over the course of three. Those are three opponents over the course of the last 5 or 6 games. Other than those two guys, I do definitely like also to sprinkle in there, and a few of my GPPs is Mr. Jamal Murray. I think Murray's in a great spot too in Denver at home, where he shoots very, very well. He is 6,900 here. He is definitely a little expensive on DK, 7,100 there. You need 35. I do like his price tag on Fanduel a little bit better. He has played 3 games against Phoenix this year, 49% field goal percentage from the floor, 58% from 3, averaging 28 points per game and 49 fantasy points. Now, he did put up one large big game against them, 63 spot, 2 games back, 2 games, the game before the last time, the second time they met this year. Phoenix is coming in 18th, and again, defending point guards, and they've been allowing 35.5 fantasy points per game. That's 1.14 fantasy points per minute. They did give up 42 to Lillard, 39 to Walker, and 41 to Mr. Kyle Lowry. Other than that, yes, obviously some injury news you got to watch out for. Spencer Dinwiddie, game time decision with the thumb. If he is out, obviously we are all over Shabazz Napier. So Mr. Napier will be in play as a value play. No Derrick Rose, no Jeff Teague, and if let's say there's no Tyus Jones, then you're going to have to consider 2 things there. First thing, you got to consider Donovan Mitchell, who's playing against them, okay? Because he's going to probably have an easier time. Granted, he's probably going to get defended no matter what, maybe by Josh Okogie, who's been actually defending shooting guards very well, but I can see Donovan Mitchell. But you also have to consider Ricky Rubio. You have to consider Ricky Rubio. I do like him there if there's no Derrick Rose and Tyus Jones, because Jeff Teague is a pretty good defender. All right, and Rubio's not a bad defender at all, but I love Rubio's matchup here in this game if Rose, Teague, and as well as Tyus Jones is out, because then he's going to have to go up against Bayless, and I think he can be okay there against Bayless. So keep that all in mind. Rubio, look, very, very important, folks. Follow me on my Twitter account. My Twitter handle is down below. It's actually DFS Zone, at DFS Zone _zone. Just follow, I have over 2,000 followers or 2,000 subscribers here on the YouTube channel, but on my Twitter account, I only have a couple hundred, so it's very surprising because right there, every day, a half hour, or at least I've been averaging anywhere between a half hour to 20 minutes before I make my final decisions, because when I come back from work, I spend another half hour to an hour really looking over a few more other stats, and I make final decisions on some of these plays that I'm talking about right now. So maybe some of the guys I talk about now will not be in my final lineup that I throw up there on Twitter later on this evening. So please make sure you make an effort to go over to the social media, to Twitter, and follow me there as well. So this way you can get that, information if you want it, of course, at the end of the day. All right. So Ricky Rubio in play. And again, if any of these guys play, then, that situation with Ricky Rubio would not probably be something that I'll be on. Other than that, and of course, if those guys are out, you got to consider, Mr. Bayless. So Bayless will be in play if those guys are out. And then you got here the Knicks situation as well. You got here Emmanuel Mudiay, game time decision. If he happens not to play, then I think Mr. Ntilikina is probably going to get some floor time, maybe a starter. So keep that in mind for the New York Knickerbockers. And then you also got to consider, you never know with Coach Fizdale, it could be Trey Burke, but I doubt it. I would think they'll go with Ntilikina if that is going to be the case. And that's pretty much it. Let's go over the shooting guard, or not. It's going to be lengthy. A shooting guard at the top, you got James Harden. Like I said before, he's pretty much in play. If you're playing quarter GPPs, you got to throw him in a few of your lineups because he's just been absolutely lights out the entire year. So James Harden is one of those guys sometimes you just can't even fade. Now, granted, in a 20K like this where you got to pay $7.77 for this entry, you might not, if you're doing multiple lineups and you're doing a whole lot of them, like 10 or 15 of them, I would say you sprinkle one lineup with Mr. Harden, but I wouldn't say he would be someone concrete for me if I'm only making 1 or 2 lines to take James Harden. So $14,000 is a little pricey, but we know he's capable of getting it done. You come down here, definitely like Luka Doncic, D'Angelo Russell. Those 2 guys definitely I do have interest in today highly. Luka Doncic, $9,000 going up against Detroit. I do like that matchup. we can get it open here, he's averaging almost 20 points a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 37 fantasy points, 9,000. You need 45. It is a big number for Luka, but Luka is capable of meeting value here, and he's also in a position where he can actually exceed value and crush and be a good GPP play. So I do like Doncic here. He's averaging pretty much more than 32 minutes a game. Let's go over and take a look at him a little bit more on the cruncher. Mr. Doncic, as you can see, the thumbs up, and he had a 49 and 37 in his last 2 games, over 32 minutes pretty much per game. His usage rate is over 27. So he's easily over 27, 28% on average, and you know he's going to get about 16, 17 shots a game. He's going to take some threes, and he's pretty decent from there when he gets hot. Free throw line, he gets to the free throw line often. He's a good free throw shooter. Can get you some rebounds, get you assists. He fills up the stat sheet. The kid is very good. All right, and he's also a pretty decent defender. As you can see, he has had easily 10 straight games with at least 1 steal, and he's capable of getting you some blocks. So Luka Doncic in play. He has his home and away splits at the moment, 46% shooting percentage at home, 34% from 3, 21 points per game, 40 fantasy points per game. He has not played against Detroit yet. Detroit is going to finally match up against this kid. I really don't see anybody who can stop him. That's what I'm looking at, and that's one of the reasons why, even though his price tag is at 9, I'm saying to myself, I can't see who's going to be able to stop him from getting 45 or 50 or even smashing it to 50 plus. But his home, again, the home and away splits are excellent. Detroit is 21st in defending shooting guards. They've been allowing 29.3 fantasy points per game, just slightly under 1 fantasy point per minute. They did give up 45 to Mr. Drew Holiday, 52 to Buddy Hield, and 33 to Bradley Beal over the course of their last 5 or 6 games. So Doncic in play, as far as I'm concerned. I do like him there. I also do like D'Angelo Russell against my New York Knickerbockers because he's just been on fire. He's been one of the hottest shooting guards other than James Harden over the stretch of at least over the last 7 or 8 games. So D'Angelo Russell is in play as well for me. I think he's one of my second choices. And as you can see, not going to go through him too much, but as you can see, 51, 53, 54, and 51. So he's at 51 plus in 4 out of his last 5 games. So that is truly amazing, and he's been hot, 45, 41, 41, 55. He's been, without Russell, the Nets would not be at least contending at the moment for at least a playoff spot. So D'Angelo Russell in play. His home and away splits have been pretty good as well. 43% field goal percentage, 36% from 3, 20 points per game, and 39 fantasy points per game. He's going up against the Knicks. They've played 3 times this year. He's shooting a little low on the field goal percentage, 36%, but his 3-point shooting has been absolutely amazing. It's been really good with threes against New York. 46% from 3, only averaging 12 points per game and 27 fantasy points. But again, I'm basing this more on how he's playing right now as a player, and I think the Knicks, as how Fizdale has these guys just all over the place, I think that D'Angelo Russell is going to be fine here today. And not only that, when Dinwiddie's out, he's going to get a bump in usage in the minutes. When Dinwiddie is out, he usually gets almost 3% more usage, D'Angelo Russell. So I expect him to take a lot of shots, and I expect him to play 30 to as much as 35 minutes or better. New York is 12th in defending shooting guards, allowing 37.3 fantasy points per game. They did recently give up 95 to Harden, but of course, a lot of people give a lot of points to Harden. Beal 41 and Darren Collison 33, as well as Klay Thompson 56. So New York has had their issues with shooting guards as of late. Do like him there as well. If you're not on any one of those 2 guys, I do like Mr. Bogdanovich over here. 6,700 for Bogdanovich. He is 5,600 on DK. Love his price tag on DK. He will be in my lineups on DK. He's averaging over 32 minutes a game last 2 games and 41 plus in his last 2 games as far as fantasy points. He has played Memphis twice this year, and he's averaging 42% from the floor, 45% from 3, 22 fantasy points. So I do like Mr. Bogdanovich here as well. And if you're not going to play for Bogdanovich, there are a couple guys you could consider his own teammate, Buddy Hield. Fournier will be someone that I might consider. Terrence Ross, definitely. He's been, he comes off the bench. He's usually electric. He could be someone of a spark plug here at 5,100 against Washington. Alonzo Trier is starting to get going. Maybe he's one of Mr. Fizdale's favorite players right now in the last 3 games. That's 5K. You need 25. I think he can get you there. And you got Burks, you got Okogie, you got a lot of good plays here. Austin Rivers, if you want the minutes guy, he gets a lot of minutes. Could definitely get you over 22, 23 to meet value there. He's in a good spot. And let's move on. Let's move on because I can be here forever. A small forward at the top, man. I do like Mr. Kawhi Leonard today. Why not? He's had more than 4 or 5 days rest. He hasn't had to play in his team's last 4 games. He's going up against Houston. He's going to be fired up. He's going up against James Harden, 2 superstars. He's going to want to really show out tonight and try to do some damage in Houston. So I do like Kawhi Leonard a whole lot, just simply on just that alone. 10,300, big price tag. Need 52 to me value. And he is 9,500 on DK. You need about 46, 47 there. I think it's very much attainable. That's his average. So DK has him priced just about right. The last few times he's played, 52 here, 73, 40, 64, 60. He's been, pretty much 50, 52 plus in like 3 or 4 out of his last 5, 6 games. So, I mean, you got to consider Kawhi Leonard here. Well rested, home and away splits, away this year, 49% field goal percentage, 39% from 3, 27 points per game, and 48 fantasy points per game, but has not played Houston thus far this year. Houston is 12th as we go over here to the cruncher. And Houston is 12th in defending small forwards, allowing 25.4 fantasy points per game. So again, and then the last time Houston had played a stud player, they played Kevin Durant on January the 3rd. That was the last guy. He had a poor shooting night. He only put up 40. The game before that, the last time they played another stud small forward was Paul George, and that was back on Christmas Day, and Mr. Paul George put up 52, and that was all defended by Eric Gordon. I can't see Eric Gordon stopping Kawhi Leonard. It's got to be like a double teaming. It got to be some sort of scheme to really neutralize this guy. So if they're going to play heads up like that, I really do like my chances with Kawhi Leonard going up against these guys. So Kawhi Leonard is definitely in play for me. He will be in about 20 to 25% of my lineups. I definitely like him a whole lot here. Now, at small forward, other than him, I do like, and I recommended him a couple of times already this week, is Kelly Oubre Jr. He's just playing good basketball. They have the injuries over there going on in Phoenix. You got to consider him. He's had 25 plus in 7 straight games, and he has 3 40-point games during that same stretch of 7 games. His home and away splits, 9 games away, 44% field goal percentage, 39% from 3, averaging nearly 17 points per game and 28 fantasy points per game. He has played 2 games against Denver this year, 50% from the floor, 50% from 3, averaging 1.5 blocks and 1.5 steals with 15 points and 35 fantasy points. So he's definitely in play for me, man. Denver, 7th in defending small forwards, allowing 26.3 fantasy points per game. They did recently give up 32 to Ingles, 28 to Rodney Hood, and 21 to Hutchinson. And those guys are all not in the same category as far as athletically as Kelly Oubre Jr. He's really coming into his own. He was always kind of a spark plug, good player. He's getting a lot of opportunity here in Phoenix, and he is definitely taking advantage of it. All right. Other than that, you got the Denver guys, man. Willie Barton here at 5,100. He's finally got some minutes. Come on now. You got to have some Willie Barton, or you got to have some Gary Harris tonight. It's just hands down. I mean, he's got a very small sample, but as you can see, he played 29 minutes. He smashed it for 43 against Utah. The game before that on Golden State here, 11-8, 4-1. He put up 27.6. He's starting to get the minutes. He's at about 30 minutes a game. If he can get over 30 minutes, matter of fact, I'm okay with him with 30 minutes at 5,100. You only need 25. So Willie Barton, he is too expensive for me on DK. I will not have him on DK. Maybe Gary Harris is a better play. He's 6,100 on DK. But 5,100 here on FanDuel is a great price for Willie Barton. He is definitely someone to consider here in the lower tier if you want to pay down. And, of course, Gary Harris is only 4,400. So, come on, folks. Either one of the two, I think that you should be okay with any one of those two guys. Let's go over to power forward. At power forward, man, this was a tough one for me because power forward, there is a lot of good plays on. I really like the power forwards today. Forget about Blake Griffin. I mean, Montrezl Harrell, good spot against Chicago, going up against Marketing and these guys. Definitely like him more than I like Marketing in this matchup, even though he's on the road. You got Ibaka, Siakam going up against Kenneth Faried and these guys in Houston. Holy smoke. That's going to be a matchup. And I'm telling you, I'm coming all the way down. I'm willing. I have no problem with Ibaka. I have no problem with Siakam. I think those guys will do okay here. But Aaron Gordon against Washington, 6,600 is cheap. He has done well against Washington. So it's a lot of options here, folks. I don't know who am I going to truly go for the most, but my favorite plays right now, I definitely like Kenneth Faried, Why would not consider Kenneth Faried? Houston is playing him at the center spot. They have the injury to Capella. They traded for this guy. This guy's got to be elated. I mean, Faried has got to be like, holy shit, I'm out of Brooklyn. I'm on a winning team. I'm getting some time on the floor. I'm going to ball out. Plus, he haven't had to play a whole lot of games this year, so he is fresh. This guy is ready to go out there and kick butt every single night. And I think Kenneth Faried is going to be fired up here today at home, knowing that he's got a superstar teammate in Mr. James Harden who's going to put up crazy, crazy shots. And he's going to get a lot of opportunity to get rebounds and blocks and steals because this is what this guy does best. So Kenneth Faried is in play, ladies and gentlemen. 6,200. You only need 31 from him. It's a small sample size from him as well. We're not going to be able to get good numbers. I'm basing this all on the factors that he is going to play. He's probably going to play more than 26 minutes today because he played 26 minutes garbage time and all, 26 minutes against New York in a blowout game, right? He put up 38 fantasy points. So imagine in a competitive game knowing he's going to go out there and he's going to body up with Serge Ibaka, two teams playing small ball up front. It should be a very interesting game. I definitely like Kenneth Faried here, who is fresh, ready to go, is energized, and he's probably elated that he's on a team where he's going to get some time on the floor and be able to bang. And he should be healthy, so he should be good to go. So I like him here a whole lot in just those two starts, 23 and 26 minutes, 11 and 13. And he put up 8 rebounds and 6 rebounds. He's going to do that kind of stuff. He's capable of getting the blocks and steals. As you can see, last game, 3 blocks and 3 steals. That's one of the reasons why he had 38 fantasy points. He is capable of doing that again today. So, Toronto's coming in here. They're 21st in defending power forwards. They have allowed 27 fantasy points per game. They recently gave up to Thaddeus Young 56. And the game prior to that, Marvin Bagley, the rookie, put up 44. So, again, I don't see no reason why Kenneth Faried cannot get it done here tonight. So he is definitely someone you guys should consider. I definitely like him a whole lot. And I tell you, I like a whole lot of guys here. Faried. Jackson is in a good spot. I would not be opposed to getting Mr. Jackson. He's going up against Mr. Bagley. We got the number 2 draft pick versus the number 4 draft pick this year in Jackson and Bagley. I do like Bagley a little bit more, but you got to give some, Jackson is playing at home, so you give him a little benefit of the doubt there. But Bagley's in play and Jackson's in play. When it comes to Bagley, for me, 5,800, you only need 28. And on DK's 5,300, you need 26. He's averaging 24. He's got 21 plus in his 6 out of his last 7 games. He did have a 43 spot in his last game out. His home and away splits are better on the road, too, so he's doing well there. So I'm favoring him more than Jackson. 56% field goal percentage from the floor, 36% from 3. He's averaging 1 block and 14 points per game and 26 fantasy points per game. In the 2 games against Memphis, they have played each other already. He's only averaging 10 points and 15 fantasy points. But that's all due to the fact these games were early on. He was not an integral part of the offense and starting that much back then. The last time they played was in October, and then the second game was in November. And we're in January now, and now we know that Bagley is. Now, the only concern with Bagley and Jackson, but more so with Bagley, is not that he's not getting over 28, 29 minutes a game on average as of late. So that's my only concern. But again, great matchup. I think either one of the two, you cannot go wrong. Noah Vonleh going up against Brooklyn. He's definitely someone to consider. 5,900, why not? Bobby Portis, definitely in play for me as well. 5,300. He's finally starting to get a little bit more minutes. I think his last game he got 50-somewhat minutes. He's definitely someone in play. Let me take a quick look at him here. Yeah, 33 minutes, 24 and 27. Look, he's capable of getting you 30, 35. At that price tag, you only need 26, 27. Very much attainable for him. Josh Jackson, same situation again. He's in play. It's just so many potential plays here. JaMychal Green at 4,700. Someone you can consider. Bender at 4,600. Taj Gibson, 4,500. There's a lot of good plays here. You can pay down. I think this is the one position tonight that you can pay down, get some 2 guys at that below $6,000 range, and they should all be able to give you good value at those price tags. So definitely keep that in mind. I'll let you know more or less who am I going to go with later at the end of the day. So let's go over to center. Last position here. And at the top, man, we got Towns, Jokic, and Vucevic, and Mr. Gobert. And hands down, look, Towns and Gobert going against each other. Tough matchup for both guys. Gobert, to me, is a better defender. I also like the fact that he's at home, and he has actually had a little bit more better success against Towns in Minnesota than Minnesota and Towns have had against Utah in Utah. Karl Anthony Towns, last game out against Utah, put a very nice game, over 60 fantasy points. But, if you look at his game log at center here, Beautiful numbers as of late, but against Utah, he put up that 62 spot. That was back on October the 31st. That was a while ago. That's for one. But two, look, he hasn't had big games in the last 2 years. 47 was his biggest game last year, and that was actually the second game of the season, which was a whole entire year and a half back, almost 2 years ago, a year and a half back. And then you have here 2016, he only put up a 49, and that was the last game of the season. So again, anything, look, circumstances are different. That's no doubt. No Jimmy Butler right now. He's in a better position now than he was in October. So you could keep that into, keep that in the back burner as far as that's concerned. But I'd rather go Gobert here and pay down, save almost $1,600. Why not? But I'm going to, the one guy I do like is Mr. Vucevic here against Washington. I love picking on Washington. So I would go with Vucevic here at 10,002. You need pretty much 50, 51. To me, value, he's 9,700 on DK. You need 47 there. He's averaging 46. And as you see, his numbers, last 2 games, 55 plus in the last 2 games. And prior to that, 46 or better in 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty much 5 games, 45 or more better a game, which is pretty much his average. So he has been slightly trending up, especially in the last 2 games. He's getting over 30 minutes a game. Okay. He's getting more than 30 minutes a game, man. It's 30 minutes a game. He's averaging pretty much about a 28% usage, 29%. Lately, last 3 games, over 31% usage rate. And look at the shots. 5 straight games taking 20 shots or more. Vooch is, he's taking over. He's the one who's taking the most shots on this team as of late. So he is the main offensive weapon other than Mr. Gordon. And then he's taking some threes for a big man, and you're going to get the rebounds, and he is capable of getting you some blocks. 6, 8, 9 blocks over the last 4 or 5 games. So Vooch is definitely in play. Home and away splits, 51% field goal percentage from the floor, 34% from 3. He's averaging 12 rebounds a game, 1 block, 1 steal, 20 points per game, and 45 fantasy points per game. In the 2 games against Washington this year, 54% field goal percentage, 40% from 3, averaging 12.5 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal, 19 points, and 44.5 fantasy points per game. Washington is coming in here. They're 24th in defending centers, allowing 33.5 fantasy points per game and 1.10 fantasy points per minute. And this is a gentleman here that can get you 1.2, 1.3 fantasy points per minute easily. I think he's going to smash here today. They gave up 30 to Mr. Cousins, 38 to Mr. Cornette of the Knicks, 38 to Cornette, and 35 to Brook Lopez over the course of 3 games over the last 5 or 6 games. So I do like Vucevic here. And if you're not willing to pay for Vooch, I'm willing to go down, and I will have exposure as well to Mr. Gobert. I mean, Gobert, 9,400, you need 46. On DK, he's 8,500, you need pretty much 42. 5 out of his last 7 games, 41 plus, has 60-point upside. He's a double-double guy. I mean, his home and away splits. Home, 62% field goal percentage. I love when Utah is at home. 13 rebounds a game, 2 blocks, 1 assist, 14.5 points per game, 41.5 fantasy points per game. This is on average at home. First game versus Minnesota earlier this year, he shot 75% from the floor, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 1 steal, 22 points from the floor, 52 fantasy points. Yeah, so I definitely like Gobert here as well. So either or, if you want to save $800, you go to Gobert. If you're willing to pay up, then you pay for Vucevic. I think you should be fine. Other than that, I'm really not high on anybody else. You could come down and take a good GPP play on Whiteside, 7,000. He's capable of getting you 50, so you can get 10, 11x off of him. But the minutes are the problem. If he gets minutes, that could be a possibility here against Cleveland, no doubt about it. Jared Allen, Mr. Cantor, he was a little angry that he didn't get to play the other day. Fizdale already mentioned his reasons why. Maybe today you give Cantor a shot, but again, Mitchell Robinson is in play for the Knicks as well, the young rookie as well. So you never know. It's tough to gauge the New York Knicks. But that's pretty much it. Unless you're into Zizic or maybe even Brook Lopez at 5,600 against Charlotte, against Biyombo, you can go there. But that's pretty much where I'm at. That is pretty much where I'm at, ladies and gentlemen. Again, make sure that you check in on Twitter, man. I'm really trying to get the people to understand that that's where I'm going at. I am finally getting a little bit more comfortable with getting on there and tweeting. But if you're a subscriber here and you want to be able to get a last-minute update if I make any changes, definitely follow me on Twitter. The handle is down below in the description of the video. You can always reach out to me here within the videos as well. There's a number of you that do that, and which is good. But other than that, just make sure that you do, become a follower on Twitter. All right. Other than that, man, TGIF, man, have a great night, man. Good luck today, and I'll see you guys for tomorrow's slate.